Greetings everyone. Today our group will present about during the meeting. The presenters are me, Stephanie Ngian, anak JANNIS, metric number 055569, IZZAH binti ZAINAL ABIDIN, metric number 055368, and NURUL Atiqah binti Muhammad Anwar 055483.
So now, let's start with our first subtopic, which is the important roles in meeting. I will discuss about chairman. A chairman plays a huge role in a meeting. They play as a manager, controller, and a facilitator in order to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly. They must participate in the meeting itself and prepare the agenda. It is also their duty to open and close the meeting. Many people tend to forget about this, but they also need to end the meeting on time. Other than that, they have to make sure that their members are on track and ensure that all of them have a chance to participate no matter their position. If they were unable to do so, they must appoint someone to do it for them.
Thank you, Atiqah. So, my name is Stephanie and I will present about secretary. The secretary is in charge of the documentation of the meeting and assisting the chairperson. Next to the chairperson, the secretary could be considered the most important participant of a board, club, or organization. Moving on to the secretary's responsibilities. The secretary's responsibilities cover: number 1, assisting the chairperson to draw up the agenda. The secretary helps the chairperson to decide on the items of the agenda for the next meeting. The secretary also sees the preparation of the copies for the members and distributes them to meeting members before the meeting, preferably 1 week before. The second one is informing and reminding members of the meeting. The notice or reminder may be sent out with the agenda, advisably a week before the meeting. The third one is taking all necessary documents or materials to the meeting. The secretary should ensure that all the required documents or materials are available at the meeting. When appropriate, copies should be made for the members. The fourth one is making notes during the meeting. These notes will be referred to when the secretary is writing the minutes. There may be a recording secretary who is part of the meeting participants. He or she will not participate in the discussions and decision making. Last but not least, the fifth one, writing and circulating the minutes. The record of the meeting is written by the secretary, who will distribute the minutes once it is ready to all meeting participants. Meeting participants should get a copy of the minute as soon as possible after the meeting and definitely before the next meeting. The secretary has to record and make any amendments to the minutes.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now, I'm going to continue our presentation with the next important roles in the meeting, which is the meeting members. Everyone in the meeting room is considered as meeting member except the chairperson and the secretary. Even though the meeting member will not lead the meeting, they still has their own important role that they need to achieve for the meeting. One of their important duties as a meeting members is that they need to be arriving on time during the meeting so that it can start and end on time. However, if there is a situation where you can't avoid from being late or maybe you can't attend the meeting, then please do inform the chairperson earlier than the allocated time for the meeting to take place. Besides that, the meeting member also should be preparing for themselves before the meeting. The member should know beforehand about what is the purpose of the meeting, through the agenda given. Hence, they need to be prepared by read back the materials or documents that is related to the meeting. This action will avoid the member from become clueless during the meeting, and discussion can be carried out more smoothly as everyone will be taking part during the decision making. Moving on to our next point, meeting members need to always carrying out their assigned duties. In every meeting, there will be a situation where chairperson will assign a certain task to a certain people that he trusts. All of the meeting members that has been given the trust to do the job need to be responsible and complete the task given diligently, and please do make sure that when there will be another meeting, that particular member should be prepared with the report about the result of the task. Next, members should also take guidance from the chairperson. In any kind of meeting, make sure to stick to the topic of the meeting. Any kind of private conversations are not allowed in the meeting, as it will distract other members' concentration and it will ruin the flow of the meeting. Always remember that the chairperson will always lead the meeting. Hence, all of the members are not allowed to interrupt or speak for too long during the meeting as well. Last but not least, the member should always exercising their vote. This will be used when the decisions are being put to the vote. In this situation, don't ever say, "Oh, I follow the majority." Never say it like that, because all members need to portray clearly which side they are voting for and never be the neutral person. Always bear in mind that whatever the result of the meeting will be, all members need to accept it and always follow the decisions made by the majority.
Moving on to running a meeting. With proper planning and procedures, any meeting can be effective and enjoyable. Before starting a meeting, there are preparations which need to be done and steps to be followed. Generally, in a meeting, the chairman or chairperson will open the meeting by welcoming everyone. He or she will lead the meeting through step by step. Step number 1. Attendance. Record those present and apologies for absence. Step 2. Minutes. Review and confirm minutes of previous meeting. Step 3. Arising matters. Review assignments given out before the meeting. Step 4. Discussions of new matters. And last but not least, step 5. Any other business, which are any issues unrelated to meeting objectives. Moving on to language in a meeting. It is part of the basis for all the participants in the meeting to know the language or expressions used in meetings. I will show you some examples. For instance, in a situation which is chairing a meeting, you can open the meeting with, "Right, shall we get started?" Or, "If we are all here, let's start." And then for the next situation, which is moving on, you can say, "Now let's move on to the first point." Or, "Shall we move on to the next agenda?" The next situation is keeping to the point. You can say, "I'm afraid that's aside the scope of this meeting." Or, "Please keep to the point." The next one is controlling the meeting. You can say, "One at a time, please." Or, "Please listen to the others." The next situation would be asking for opinions. You can say, "What do you think?" Or, "I'd like to hear your views on ... Or, "Where exactly do you stand on this issue?" The next situation is giving opinions. You can give your opinions starting with, "How about?" Or, "I suggest we..." Or, in my opinion, moving on to the next situation, which is agreeing. You can say, I second that motion. Or, that's how I feel too. Or, I'm in total agreement. The opposite of agreeing would be disagreeing. So, when you want to disagree to someone's idea, you can say this example without offending them. You can say this politely, which are, I don't think so. I'm afraid I think otherwise. Or, I agree to a point, but... And then the next situation is asking for clarification. When you cannot hear someone's idea clearly, or you don't really understand that person's point, you can ask professionally by saying this. What do you mean by? Or, are you saying that? Or, do you mean it's like this? The next one is interrupting. When you want to interrupt someone, it can be rude or impolite, but when you say it with these examples, it seems that you are a professional. For example, I wonder if I could add something here. Or, I don't want to interrupt, but... Or, excuse me, but I'd just like to point out that... And the last situation, of course, is closing the meeting. When you want to wrap everything up, you can say these examples. The first one is, well, I think that covers everything. Or, that's all for today, thank you. Or you can simply just say it. This is the end of our meeting for today.
There are many etiquette during a meeting. One of them are to treat everyone with respect. When someone is talking, we should not talk, play with our phones, or make any distractions. We also mustn't interrupt each other and focus towards them when they are talking. Remember, being punctual is also very important, meaning that everyone should not come late and make sure that the meeting ends on time. Everyone have their own do's and don'ts in a meeting. For the chairman, they need to control the meeting, prevent any pointless discussion, and review all action items at the end of each meeting. They should not be using their own agenda, especially without further notice. Let other members lead the meeting and tell personal and irrelevant stories. As for the members, they need to arrive early, give all of their attention, and turn off their phones. They shouldn't be talking with their colleagues, using their phones, leave any trash, and keep interrupting someone when they are talking.
Thank you, Atiqah. The last part of our presentation today is about guidelines in taking notes. Before we talk about how to take a good notes, let's talk about the minutes of meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what is the importance of writing the minutes of meeting? Many people will say that the minutes meeting is just for the organization's record and nothing else. The truth is, there is a lot of benefit that an organization can get by writing and saving minutes of meeting. First of all, it will be a reminder of issues that need to be followed up. There will be a lot of people in a meeting, and by having a formal record as a reminder, it could ease out all of the problems when they can't remember any part of the discussions, and this will automatically help the chairperson to arrange for the next meeting agenda. Besides that, it could also prevent any kind of arguments regarding the previous decisions. I will give you an example for this point. Imagine, a week after the meeting, Ali said to Abu that the budget they all agree for the project is 50,000 ringgit. However, Cindy said that it is not true because the real budget they agreed on is 30,000 ringgit only. Ali and Cindy will be in arguments and could lead into a big problem because there is uncertainty in it. So, by having the minutes of meeting, they can simply refer back to the decisions made regarding the budget and conflict can be solved. Moving on to our next and last important of the minutes, it actually could be used to learn from its past failure and success. In the future, if the organization will be having a project that is quite similar to the past project, they could refer back to on the minutes of meeting. If the past project is a failure, they can refer back the minutes meeting and learn from that mistakes. However, if the past project is a success, they can learn from it by referring back. What is the factor that lead to this success? Now, I'm gonna talk about the 3 aspects to take good minutes. First thing first, you need to listen. Listen as in try to process the information discussed and understand it. This is because no one can write the minutes of meeting if you are not even listening. You also need to make sure that you know everyone in the room. This is because when writing the minutes, the names of the person that give the information will need to be written down, and it's gonna be very bad if you don't even remember the name of the person talking. Secondly, you need to take notes. No one has the capability to just listen and remember after hours of meeting. Hence, never forget to take notes. What you can jot down on the note is the main point, the person talking, and the decisions taken. Always remember to write the information in your own sentences as it will come out better than you just trying to copy-paste what other people are saying. It is impossible for anyone to be able to write down everything that the meeting members talk about. It could only lead you to miss the important point even more. The third and last aspect of taking a good minute is to always include the detail of meetings, the names of the meeting member present, visitors' name, the apologies for any members that is absent, the summary of discussions and decisions taken, the work that need to be followed up and by whom. All of this information is very important and is a must to be recorded in the minutes of meeting. Please do make sure that all of this information is written down neatly in a special minute book and don't just write it in scraps of paper. The book or file used to jot down should be kept safely and always available for consultation at any time. That's all from our group today. Thank you.